Good morning, one and all. In last lecture, we have completed one problem on the evaluation of seismic forces. In this lecture, we'll complete one problem which is based on the same for the evaluation of seismic forces. And after completing this problem, we'll move towards the next unit, that is the unit number 7, that is the ductile detailing of RCC structure. Okay. So I request all of you, please write down this problem in your notebook. Also, you draw the plan and elevation about the this problem. Write down. Consider a 4-story reinforced concrete office building. Consider a 4-story reinforced concrete. Consider a 4-story reinforced concrete office building. Shown in figure 1.1. Shown in figure 1.1. Shown in figure 1.1. The building is located The building is located in Shillong. The building is located in Shillong. The building is located in Shillong. Seismic zone 5. Seismic zone 5. Seismic zone 5. Full stop. The soil conditions are medium steep. The soil conditions are medium steep. And the entire building is supported. Entire building is supported. Entire building is supported. Entire building is supported on raft foundation. On entire building is supported on raft foundation. Full stop. The RC frames are infilled with. The RC frames are infilled with brick masonry. The RC frames are infilled with brick masonry. Full stop. The lumped weight due to dead load is. The lumped weight due to dead load is 12 kilonewton per meter square on floors. 12 kilonewton per meter square on floors and 10 kilonewton per meter square on the roof. 10 kilonewton per meter square on the roof. Full stop. The floors are catered for a live load of. The floors are to cater for a live load of 4 kilonewton per meter square. 4 kilonewton per meter square on floors and 1.5 kilonewton per meter square on the roof. Determine design seismic load. Design seismic load on the structure. On the structure as per new code. As per new code. I request all of you, please draw this diagram in your notebook. This is a plan which is shown here with respect to its elevation. If you understand the plan, you can solve the problem automatically, no problem. So that you have to draw this diagram in your notebook with neatly. I will wait for 2 minutes. Okay. So draw this plan and elevation in your notebook. You can see there is a 1, 2, 3, 4 beds are here. So 4 by 5,000. So 5,000, the dimension is given in mm. So it is for each and every bay, there is a 5-meter distance over there. 5 meter by 5 meter. Likewise, it will be coming as a 50. So from this to this dimension is equal to 4 by 5. So it will be equal to 20 meter. Again, in the same way, there is a, how many bays are there? There are the 3 bays. So it will become as a 3 by 5. So it will be equal to, that is the 15 meter. Okay, now we'll see the, there is a height of the building and where is the floor to floor height variation over there. You can see for this ground floor, from this to this, there is a 4.2, that is the 4.2 meter height is shown. After that, this is a 3.2, again the 3.2, and this is 3.2. Likewise, the height of the building is also going to be vary. So total height is equal to how much it is? You have to add this plus, this plus, this plus, this. How much it is? So 3.2, 3.2, 3.2 plus 4.2. It will be 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 6, 6, 2, that is 8, 4, 3, 9, 9 plus 4. How much it is? That is the 13.8. So total height is 13.8 of the total building. Okay. So I hope all of you have understood about this plan and the elevation. The total Width of the building, that is the base dimension of the plan, is 4 by 5. That is the 4 meter by 5. There 4 bays are over here, and for each bay there is a distance, base dimension distance is a base dimension is 5 meter. So 5 meter by 4 meter, it will be equal to 20 meter. That is the base dimensions of this plan. And after that, there is another one, that is the for this 3 by length and the width is equal to this much, that is 3 by 5. So that will be equal to 15 meter. So base dimension will be equal to 20 meter by 15 meter. Okay. And after that, there is a height of the building. There is a variation in the height. At the ground floor, there is a 4.2 meter height, again 3.2, again 3.2, again 3.2. In this way, if we add this all the heights of floor to floor height, then we'll get the total height of the building, and that is required for calculations to evaluate the seismic forces. Okay, I hope all of you have understood. Now we'll move towards the whatever the given data which is given into the problem, that we'll understand, and afterwards we'll move towards the solution of this problem to evaluate the seismic forces. Okay, so we'll see what is the information or the whatever the given data is in the problem. So first you see there is a this is a 4-story building. Okay, 4-story building having the total height is 13.8 meter. That already we have seen. Again, the building is located where this building is located in the Shillong city, and where the seismic zone, which seismic zone is coming here, that is the seismic zone 5. Okay, the soil conditions are medium steep, and the entire building supported on a raft foundation. So type of the soil which is also given here. So based on this, we can calculate the SA by G value for the medium steep soil for the entire building, which is supported on a raft foundation. Next one is the RC frame infilled building. So you can see here the type of the building is also they have given with a brick masonry. So by using this, we can calculate the response reduction factor, that is the R. The RC frame are infilled with brick masonry. Next one is the lumped weight due to the dead load. So dead load is given on the each floors. For each floor, the dead load is given. In last problem, there is a that all dimensions about the beams, again columns, about the slab thickness, wall thickness they have given. But in this problem, there is a difference is that they have not given the dimensions. Directly they have given the dead loads. Okay, dead loads which is coming on the each floor, and the loads, dead load which is given which is coming on the roof also. So we have to make calculation over here simply the load with respect to the load. Okay, and from this load we have to go calculate the different masses which are coming on the each and every floor. Okay, the floors are to cater for a live load. That live load is also given, so we have to calculate the imposed load with respect to this live load also. It is equal to 4 kilonewton per meter square. So based on this, we can calculate this imposed load also, and we'll add this imposed load into the dead load for each floor. So you can see there is a live load 4 kilonewton per meter square, that is for each floor, and the 1.5 kilonewton per meter square, that is for the roof. And that much amount of the information is given here in this problem. So with using this information, we have to calculate the seismic forces which are produced into the multi-story building, and that is the 4-story building. Okay, so I request all of you, please write down this whatever the given data from this problem. Write down first, it is a 4-story building. Write down, it is a 4-story building. It is a 4-story building. It is a 4-story building. Second, it is located in Shillong. It is located in Shillong. So consider seismic zone 5. It is located in Shillong, seismic zone 5th. Next one, soil condition is medium steep. Soil condition is medium steep. Soil condition is medium steep. Next, RC framed, RC frames are infilled with brick masonry. RC frames infilled with brick masonry. Next one, dead load on each floor, dead load on each floor, dead load on each floor is equal to 12 kilonewton per meter square. Dead load on each floor, dead load on each floor, that is 12 kilonewton per meter square. Next one, the dead load on the roof, dead load on roof is equal to 10 kilonewton per meter square. Dead load on the roof, that is 10 kilonewton per meter square. Below this, write down live load on the floors, live load on each floor, live load on each floor is equal to 4 kilonewton per meter square. 4 kilonewton per meter square. And live load on the roof, live load on the roof is 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. Live load on the roof is 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. Okay. With this data, we have to calculate the seismic loads which are coming on the each and every floors. Okay. So now we'll see one by one, step by step procedures to calculate the seismic weight of the building first. After that, we'll move towards the horizontal seismic coefficient, and at the last, we'll move towards the seismic loads which are coming on the each and every floors. Okay. So as per the IS code IS 1893, already we have discussed in the last lecture. So based on this, whatever the conditions are given, based on this, we have to calculate the values of Z, values of R, and values of SA by G. Okay, and if we know this all the values, so we can calculate directly the horizontal seismic coefficient. And so for that purpose, we should know the IS code, whatever the which tables we have to use to calculate the zone factor Z, which for calculating the importance factor, which table we have to use for calculating the response factor, which table we have to use. That all different, all parameters we have discussed already in the last lecture. So I request all of you, please go through the IS code for evaluation or for calculation of this, all the values of this AH, like the Z value, I value, and the R value. Okay. So from this problem also they have mentioned here the seismic zone as a 5 seismic zone, that is the 5th seismic zone. So for seismic zone 5th, which is located in the Shillong, so that Z factor is coming as a 0.36. For that purpose, they have referred as a table number 2, which is from the IS 1893. Okay, so write down the solution, and for that you write whatever the data given. Okay, so write down for seismic zone 5th, the seismic zone 5th, the seismic zone 5th, the zone factor Z is, the zone factor Z is 0.36, 0.36. In that, write down in front of, in bracket you write refer table number 2, refer table number 2 from IS 1893, refer table number 2 IS 1893. Okay, they have mentioned this building as an office building. Okay, this building as an office building, and so that importance factor is 1, that table number 6 from the IS 1893. This building is office building, and for other types of the building we have to consider the IS that importance factor as 1. For that, deciding the value of I, you refer the table number 6 from IS 1893. Next one, they have given the building frame is infilled with the brick walls. So hence the response reduction factor is 5, that is R. R is equal to 5. And for that, deciding the value of response reduction factor R, use the table number 7, which is from the IS 1893. Okay. So first point is here, as per the design parameters which are given. So first one is the seismic zone, that is as per the seismic zone FIP, we got the values of zone factor, and that is the 0.36 is the Z value of which is taken from this table number 2 of the IS 1893. After that, you can see the second point, that is the type of building is given. That building is a official building. That building is an official building. So you can see this official building over here. And already we know the importance factor I, which is calculated from this table number 6 from this IS 1893. IS 1893. So you can see if radio station like a building, railway station versus a building asset, so there are the that importance factor is 1.5. For all other types of the buildings, there is a that importance factor is considered as a 1. So this office type of building will become under the other types of the building, and that's why that importance factor is coming as a 1. Next one, the building is required to be provided with movement resisting frames detailed as per the IS 13920/1993. Okay, means that building is which building is given? That building is a 4-story building and which having the building frames infilled with the brick walls. Okay, and that's why the by referring the table number 7, we got the values of R, that is the response reduction factor is equal to the 5. Okay, that is the response reduction factor, that is equal to the R is equal to 5. Okay, so I hope all of you have cleared this all the points. Now we'll move towards the next point, and which is related to the okay. So this with these three values, that is seismic zone 5. Again, next point is the importance factor I, and the building which is in movement resisting frame is as per the IS 13920/1993. For that purpose, that IR will be equal to 5. That is the response reduction factor as per the table number 7. So now we'll move towards the next point, that is the design procedure over here based on the different points. Okay, so first our first objective is here from this problem number from this stepwise procedure to evaluate the seismic forces is that we have to calculate the seismic weights of the building. So how to calculate the seismic weight? So seismic weight of the building. So already we know the floor area, already we know the dead loads which is coming on the each and every floor. The dead loads which are coming on the each and every floor is different, and dead load which is coming on the roof, that is also different. And second thing is that live load which is considered, which is given for the different floors, that is different, and the dead load and the live load which is given for the roof, that is also different. So we have to make the calculations differently for floors and for the roofs. And after that, we have to add the overall whatever the weight that in terms of the each and every floor, that load, whatever the loads coming on the each and every floor, that we have to add, and that will become as a total seismic weight of the building. Okay. So I hope all of you have cleared this. Our building is a 4-story building. So that fourth floor that will be coming as a roof. So for the 3 floors, that whatever the seismic weight, that will be coming as the same. Only the difference is over there for the roof, that is the that is the for the roof portion, that mass will be different because the live load is different and the dead load is also different, and that's why there is a differences with respect to the floor loads and the roof load. So we have to calculate the one we have to calculate the mass of the one floor. If we multiply by it 3, then it will be will get the 3 floors masses. Okay. And if we calculate the roof load, then we can add this roof load, that roof mass plus the whatever the floors which having the masses. If we add these two, we'll get directly the total seismic weight of the building. We'll see how it will be. So W1, W2, W3, it is same because there is a whatever the dead loads which are coming on the each and every floor, that is the same, and whatever the load which is coming on the roof, that is the different. Okay, so we know already this, that 300 into 12 plus 0.5 into 4. So what is this? Now we'll see. Okay, so floor load, whatever the floor load is given, so we'll see what is this floor load. Okay, so you can understand here. Okay, so as per the earlier problem, I will show you as per the earlier problem. As per our earlier problem, what is this? So dead load is, as per the earlier problem, we know the first we have calculated the dead load. We have calculated the dead load of each floor, plus we add the imposed load. So percentage of imposed load, if that is equal to that is 0 to 3, then we are going to add, that is for the 20% only. And if more than 3, okay, more than 3, then we are going to add the 50% of the imposed load. That is the step, that is the condition which is from the IS 1893. Okay, so in this case only, we have to calculate the seismic weight by using this condition, because live load is given for each floor, that is the 4 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, and for the roof, that is given as a, for the roof portion, it is given as a 3 it is given as a 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, so for that, for these two conditions, we have to go for now W1, W2, W3, that is the seismic weight which is coming on the each floor, that is the same, is equal to the floor area. How much it is the floor area? Already I have discussed with you. That is the base dimensions are like this. That is the 20, and that is the 15. So it will be equal to the 15 by 20. So it will be equal to the 300 square meter. That is the cross section area of each floor. So area into, that is the load area, that is the area into the live load. So we'll get directly the seismic weight of the building. Okay, so load, that is the area is 300. Already we know the area is 300 into the seismic weight. So that for calculation of the seismic weight, area into its load. How we can add this load? The 12 is a dead load, plus we have to add the imposed load which is coming on the each story. So that calculation also we know, that is the, if the live load is more than 3, then we have to add the 50% of the 50% of the live load over here. So that will be equal to 300 into 12 plus 50% of this 4. So 50% of this 4. So total is equal to the 4200 kilonewton, that much amount of seismic weight which is coming on the each and every floor. So I hope all of you have understood how this seismic weight is calculated for each and every floor. Okay, so W1, W2, W3, from this, the seismic weight of the building that we can calculate by this cross section area, that is square meter into. Okay, so you can understand with the dimension also, because this weight is we get into in terms of, this is a in the meter square, into that load is coming in terms of the kilonewton per meter square. So this meter square, that meter square is getting cancelled. So that W you will get in terms of the kilonewton. So that is the total load which is coming on the each and every floor. Okay. So in this way we have calculated this total weight with respect to the dead load and the imposed load. Okay, from this that is cross section area is as per the base dimensions 15 by 20, that is the 300 square meter, into the addition of this dead load into imposed load. Okay, so that will be W1, W2, W3, that are the total loads, seismic loads, which are from the W1, W2 and W3, which are same. Now we have to calculate the W4, which is the seismic weight of that topmost floor, that is the roof portion. So on the roof there is a that floor area is same from the bottom towards the top, that is the 300 into that 10, that 10 is nothing but it is a lab load of that floor. So we'll see in the given dimension also. So that much amount of floor, that is the dead load of that floor, is given as a 10 kilonewton per meter square. And here that 1.5 is the lab load which is given. Okay, so the total load is here, that is the 300 into 10, or we can add here directly, that is in terms of the imposed load also. So how to add this? 300 in bracket, there is a plus 10 plus, there is a 0.25 into 0.25 into 1.5, and in this way we can add and directly we can write the total dead load which is coming on that floor is equal to the 3000 kilonewton. Okay, you can calculate this. There may be some another value will become, but it will be ranges between these only. Okay, so that W4, that load is equal to the area into its lab load, that dead load plus imposed load. Okay, so that is the we got here that W1, W2, W3, that are the floor loads, and the roof loads we get from this. And now we have to add this total load of each and every floor. So we'll directly get the total seismic weight of the structure. So seismic weight of the structure is equal to W1 plus W2 plus W3 and plus W4. So W1, W2 and W3, these three loads of the floors are same. So 3 multiplied by 4200 and plus 3000. So it will be equal to the total weight is in terms of the 15, that is 15600 kilonewton. So I request all of you, please write down this in your notebook. Okay, I hope all of you have cleared this, how to calculate the seismic weight of the building with respect to the floor area, with respect to the live load and the dead load which is given into the problem. Now we'll move towards the next step, that is based on the calculation of time period, fundamental time period. Okay, so how to calculate the fundamental time period, that already you know. The fundamental time period T is equal to, that formula we have to use, T is equal to 0.09 H divided by root D, where H is the total height of the building, D is nothing but that is the base dimensions of the plan. So write down this, T is equal to 0.09 into H. H is the total height of the building, that already we have calculated, that is equal to 13.8 meter. 0.09 into 13.8 divided by root D. D is the base dimensions. Root D, that is the base dimensions, that is 20. So from that directly we'll get the TA is equal to 0.28 second. Okay. TA is equal to 0.09 into H divided by root T, that is the formula. So where 0.09 into H is the total height of the building, that is 13.8, divided by that is the root D. D is nothing but a base dimension, and that is equal to 20. So we'll get directly as a 0.28 second. That is the fundamental time period over here. Okay. Now we have to move for the next step to calculate the horizontal seismic coefficient. So how to calculate this horizontal seismic coefficient? Already we know the formula from the IS 1893, that is AH is equal to ZISA upon 2RG. That formula is here. So this formula is here. AH is equal to ZISA upon 2RG, where Z zone factor, that value already we have calculated, that is 0.36 into that I is the importance factor for this office building as 1, considered as 1, into SA by G, that value is a 2.5, and divided by twice into R, response reduction factor, that is R. So what is the total value of AH? So AH is equal to, here we get directly as a 0.09. AH is equal to 0.09. So we know this AH value, we know this TA value, and we know the seismic weight of the building. We can calculate the design base shear. So AH is equal, that PA is equal to that AH into W. So AH is nothing but it is a 0.09 into W, that is the seismic weight of the building, and that is equal to the total weight of the building, that is the 15600, that is in terms of the kilonewton. Okay, so that is the PB value, that is the design base shear value. So calculate this TA value, AH value, and the design base shear value. So calculate this AH value, VVH value. And now we'll move towards the last point, that is to evaluate the seismic forces which are coming on the each and every floor. Okay, and that will be clear from this table number 1.1. Okay, so you know how to calculate this. That table also we have used into the last problem also to calculate the seismic forces which are coming on the each and every floor. Okay, so first one is the story, that topmost story is the fourth one, third one, again second one, first one, and last one is the ground floor. Means from that WI already we know that is the total load which is coming on the each and every floor. For the roof, that load is 3000 kilonewton. Again for the third story, again second story, and for first story that load is same, because the dead load which is given and cross section area of each and every floor is same, and that's why that WI is same for this first, second, and third floor. So that's why this is a 4200 kilonewton, 4200 kilonewton, 4200 kilonewton for the first, second, and the third story. And there is a difference is here for the roof, and that will be equal to 3000 kilonewton. Now, the height of the building, there is also changes, because height of the building for this first floor is here, that is 4.2. Again there is a addition of this 7.4, 10.6, and total height of the building is 13.8. Okay, one by one we have add the whatever the floor to floor height for each and every story, and likewise the total height of the building is 13.8. Now we have to make the calculation, that is WHI square, and that is the WI value, that is for I is nothing but for every floor, first, second, third, and fourth. So into HI square, that is the height of the building, which has a 13.8 for the roof. We have to make the calculation, and directly if we make the summation, and if we add this all the summation values of this horizontal seismic coefficient, it will be equal to 1. Then our answer is correct, and that trick I was told you in the last lecture. Okay, and if that column number if that column number 5 is verified with the addition is equal to 1, then our answer is correct one. Okay, and in last case we have to multiply this value of VB into that the VB into that factor, we get the horizontal we get the evaluation of seismic forces, that parameter for each and every story. Okay, in the x direction we have to calculate. So I hope all of you have understood, and now we can show this all the values which are coming on each and every story with respect to this figure, that is the stress distribution or the seismic weight which is coming on each and every story with respect to the seismic force. So you can see the 611, 504, 246, 79. These are the forces which are the seismic forces coming on the each and every story. So I request all of you, please make this calculation in your notebook. It is very simple. If you know all the stepwise procedures which are coming from the IS 1893, then and then it will be simple. But if you don't know what is the procedure to go for the calculation of this evaluation of seismic forces, then it will become difficult. So for that purpose, you have to go for this IS 1893. You have to see the different tables, different clauses which are very helpful to you to understand this concept about the evaluation of seismic forces. Then and then only you can calculate the seismic forces which are coming on the story, and you can plot the graph also. You can plot so that the seismic forces distribution which are coming on the each and every story. So write down this and try to solve one of the another problems which are given to you as per as your assignment. So try to solve it, so you will get all the results, and it will be very helpful to you to understand about the evaluation of seismic forces for the earthquake resistant building. I will wait for 2 minutes. Write down this table as a 1.1, and also you plot the figures which are showing the variation of these seismic forces as per the story height. Okay, I hope you have completed this. Now we'll move towards the next chapter, which is based on the ductile detailing of RCC structures. So in this unit number 7, we have learned the earthquake design philosophies, again whatever the stepwise procedures to evaluate the seismic forces. That is very important point we have learned here from this unit number 6. And after that, we have solved the two problems which are based on this, how to evaluate the seismic forces for the multi-story building. And that IS code, some basic concepts also we have learned from this unit number 6, which are related to the evaluation of seismic forces. So in this lecture, we'll stop here for this unit number 6, and we'll move towards the unit number 7, which is based on the ductile detailing of RCC structure. So now I will stop sharing here for this unit number 6, and we'll move towards the unit number 7. Okay. Now we'll start the unit number 7, that is the ductile detailing of RCC members. Okay. So I request all of you write down the syllabus of this unit number 7 in your notebook with a new page. Write down unit number 7, ductile detailing of RCC members. Ductile detailing of RCC members. Ductile detailing of RCC members. Write down concept of ductility. Concept of ductility. Concept of ductility, comma, different ways of measuring ductility. Different ways of measuring ductility. ductile detailing of RCC members. From that, the syllabus is concept of ductility, comma, different ways of measuring ductility, different ways of measuring ductility. Next one is factors affecting on ductility, factors affecting on ductility, factors affecting on ductility, comma, energy absorption, energy absorption, comma, provision of IS 13920, provision of IS 13920, provision of IS 13920. So we'll see the syllabus of this, whatever the what is included into this unit number 7, which is related to the ductile detailing of RCC members with the different RCC members which have beams, columns, again slab portion over there. So for that purpose, how to make the ductile detailing, how to increase the strength, that all parameters we have to see, we have to learn into this unit number, in this unit number 7. Okay, so we'll discuss here what is ductile detailing, and after that we'll move towards the how to measure the ductility and what are the factors which are affected to reduce the ductility. That all points we'll see in this unit number 7. Okay, so basic approach of this earthquake resistant design should be based on the lateral strength as well as the deformability, ductility, capacity of the structure with limited damage of the structure. Means it is one of the parameter. In last unit number 7, unit number 6, we have learned. In the unit number 5 also we have learned how to make the structure as a earthquake resistant structure. Okay, and for that purpose, whatever the basic fundamentals, basic planning aspect, that also we have seen. Again, some of the parameters related to the what should be the shape of the structure, again what should be the taller building, what should be height of the building, what should be length of the building. According to that, we have learned the basic fundamentals related to achieve the building as a earthquake resistant building. But as far as these are the basic concepts, beyond that, we have to increase the strength with respect to this ductility parameter also. Because ductility parameter, which will be very helpful to us to increase the strength parameter, which will be helpful to resist the dynamic forces like earthquake forces which are coming on the structure. And for that purpose, we have to understand what is the ductility, and ductility should be with the each and every RCC members like a columns, like a beams with respect to the slab. Okay, and how to increase the ductility in the steel reinforcement, that all parameters we should know, and then we can achieve the ductility while constructing any type of the building. And at that time we can achieve the whatever the damages, we can reduce the damages which will be occur for the any type of the building while coming the dynamic forces, while coming the earthquake forces. Okay, and that is the basic fundamental over here to understand as a ductile detailing of the RCC member to achieve the building as a earthquake resistant building. Okay, The basic approach of earthquake resistant design should be based on the lateral strength as well as the deformability and the ductility capacity of the structure with the limited damage. Means we have to move here when types of loadings are coming on the structure. We have to move for the limited damages of the structure should will be happen. If there are the limited, if there are not limited damages, if there are the more damages will be occur, there are the different components, RCC members were getting collapsed. At that time our structure will be fall, our structure will be going to be damaged. And so before damaging the structural component of the building, we have to be understand how to increase the earthquake resistant building with all the component, how to increase the ductile detailing of the RCC members. And with respect to these RCC members, we can make the limited damages towards the structure while the different dynamic loads are coming on the structure. And for these, there is a one IS code is also shown here. In last chapter number 6, we have seen the IS as 1893. In this unit number 7, there is a IS code is given that IS is 13920 and which is related to the ductile detailing of this RCC members, that is reinforced concrete structure. And whatever the fundamentals to achieve the building as a earthquake resistant building, that all the parameters to increase the ductile detailing of RCC members that are given into this IS code, that is IS 13920 1993. Okay, as far as your online examination, MC question will be asked to you, which is based on this IS code also. Okay, for ductile detailing of RCC members, dash 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 IS code is used. So you should know that IS code is IS 13920 1993. Okay, which is the name implies as a ductile detailing of RCC members. Okay, which is subjected to seismic forces and the code practice is based on this approach. Okay, so this IS code you have to learn about the ductile detailing of RCC structures. So you have to download this IS code. So then you will understand some of the basics also from this IS code, and you can refer these notes also for understanding this ductile detailing of RCC members. Okay, the standard covers the requirement of lateral strength, designing and ductiling of monolithic reinforced concrete buildings so as to give them adequate toughness and ductility to resist the severe earthquake shock without collapse. Means we have to consider here, we have to understand this basic concept about the ductile detailing, that is for the that is for achieving the ductility in the structure, toughness as well to resist the building with a severe earthquakes, severe shocks which are coming on the structure. And that's why we have to go for this IS as a IS 13920 1993 for achieving the ductile detailing of RCC members, each and every members from the building to achieve the ductile detailing and to resist the severe earthquakes, to resist the collapse of the building while coming the different earthquake loads, dynamic loads towards the building. That is the ductile detailing of RCC structure. So I request all of you, please write down. Please write down the basic approach of earthquake resistant design. The basic approach of earthquake resistant design. The basic approach of earthquake resistant design should be based on lateral strength as well as deformability and ductility capacity of structure. Deformability and ductility capacity of the structure with limited damage to the structures. The code IS 13920, the code IS 13920, 1993, entitled ductile detailing of reinforced concrete structure subjected to seismic forces dash code practice is based on this approach. The standard covers the requirements of lateral strength designing and detailing of monolithic reinforced concrete building so as to give them adequate toughness and ductility to resist severe earthquake shocks without collapse. Thus, the ductility of the structure is one of the important factors affecting its seismic performance and it has been clearly observed that the well-defined and detailed reinforced structures behave well during earthquake and the gap between the actual and design lateral forces is narrowed down by providing ductility in the structure. Now we'll see what is the concept of this ductility. Okay, ductility in the structure will arise from inelastic material behavior and detailing of reinforcement in such a manner that brittle failure is avoided and ductile behavior is induced by allowing steel to yield in the controlled manner. Okay, already we know there are the two types of the behavior of each and every material. One is the ductile material behavior and second one is the brittle type of the material. Okay, if the brittle type of the material there, then if the such a dynamic loads are coming, then at that time our structure will be getting collapsed easily because the brittle type of the nature type of the material is used. But if we move towards the ductile detailing type of the material, the ductile behavior is induced into that structure, into this whatever the material we are using. Then whatever the loads which are coming, that is the dynamic loads coming on the structure, then we can minimize, then we can resist the earthquake forces. And so for that purpose, we have to induce the nature of the that nature of that material should be a ductile, that ductile behavior we have to induce into the structure, then and then only we can achieve the building as a earthquake resistant building. Otherwise, if the material which are brittle in nature and if such a materials we are used for the structure, then automatically we cannot induce the ductile behavior into that into such a buildings, and we cannot um, make the building as a earthquake resistant building. Okay, so for the control manner we have to induce the ductile behavior into the structure. Okay, that is the very important parameter which will be arise the behavior like a ductile behavior into the building, and that is the basic concepts about this ductility. Therefore, one of the primary tasks of an engineer, designer with an earthquake resistant building is to ensure that building will possess enough ductility to withstand size and types of earthquake with it is likely to experience during its lifetime. Okay, means already we know the designer which is making the design of the building. Okay, steel reinforcement, what type of the what type of the material should be used, like a steel with the bars with their dimensions, that all decided by the designer only. Okay, engineer or the architecture which are making the plans, so they should know the basic fundamentals, how to increase the ductility, how to induce the ductility behavior into the steel reinforcement into the steel, so we can achieve the building as a earthquake resistant building. It will be performed well, so that engineer and the architecture should know all the basic fundamentals about the ductility as well as the planning aspect, how to increase the resistivity towards the uh, how to increase the earthquake resistant building. So in this manner, like a size, considering the types of the different earthquakes. Okay, so they should know the experience, they should know the whatever the history about the earthquake, for what type of the building it will be making collapse because of what factors, that all history if they know, then they can go for the building with making the building with the earthquake resistant building. Okay, that is very important in the region where the earthquakes happen are more. So while planning, while constructing the building where earthquakes are more, in that case, they should know this all the fundamentals about this ductility. They should know the all the fundamentals related to how to achieve the building as a earthquake resistant building. Okay. So next point is, in order to achieve a ductile structures, we must give the stress on three key areas during this design process. Firstly, overall design concept for building configuration must be sound. That already we have learned into the unit number 5. Secondly, individual members must be designed for ductility. And finally, connections and other structural details need to be carefully attention. Okay, means first concept for achieving this ductile detailing, we should focus on the three parameters. First one is the we should make the building whatever the basic planning aspect about the buildings, that should be made as sound. Okay, that configuration of the building should be sound. It will be cement. It will be simple. It will be symmetrical. Okay, it will be no overhangs over there. Okay, and whatever the soil properties are, that should be good. So in that configuration, if the earthquake forces are coming at that time, the building will be acts as a earthquake resistant building. Secondly, each and every parameter, RCC parameter, like a slab, like a column, like a beam, okay, that all parameters should be designed and defined in such a way that with a good material, with a ductile material, and whatever the last, the third parameter is here, whatever the connections between this slab, between these beams, and between these columns, that all the connection should be strong. Okay, if there is a connection that are strong, whatever the material used is a ductile material, and third one is the whatever the configuration which is used for the building, that is the strong, that is the sound, then automatically we can then our building will be act as a earthquake resistant building while the earthquake loadings are over there. But we should focus on these three parameters to achieve the ductile detailing of RCC members, to achieve the building as a earthquake resistant building. Okay, I hope all of you have understood this parameter. These three parameters are very important to her here to understand the ductile detailing of RCC members, and for that purpose we have to make sure that configuration should be sound. Second one is the individual member should be act as a member should be designed with the ductility parameters, and last one is the whatever the connections between the slab beams, that should be a strong connections. Okay, next one is the in earthquake resistant design of structures, all the structural members and their connections and the supports, that is all critical regions where the steel levels goes to yielding strain or exceeds during severe earthquakes should be designed of size and the detail with large ductility, stable hysteresis behavior, and this will help in distributing the internal forces and dissipating the engineering during the earthquake. Means in this way, if we go towards the ductile type of the behavior by reducing the brittle type of the nature, then automatically we can minimize the stresses, whatever the damages which will be produced into the building because of the earthquake loading. Okay, so that is the concept about the ductility. You will understand the ductility with the three parameters. First one is the configuration of the building should be strong. Second one is the whatever the structural elements that should be designed separately with a ductile behavior, and third one is the whatever the bond between these connection between these whatever the connection between these RCC members, that should be strong, then and then we can achieve the ductility parameter into the building. Okay, so I request all of you, please write down the concept of ductility. Write down the concept of ductility. Concept of ductility. Write down. Ductility in the structure will arise from. Ductility in the structure will arise from ductility in the structure will arise from inelastic material behavior. Inelastic material behavior and detailing of reinforcement. And detailing of reinforcement. Detailing of reinforcement in such a manner that in such a manner that in such a manner that brittle failure is avoided. Brittle failure is avoided and ductile behavior is induced. Ductile behavior is induced by allowing steel to yield in controlled manner. By allowing steel to yield in controlled manner. Stop. Therefore, one of the primary tasks of an engineer designing an earthquake resistant building designing an earthquake resistant building is to ensure that building will possesses enough ductility with withstand the size and types of earthquake with withstand the size and types of earthquake which it is likely to experience during its lifetime. Next one. In order to achieve a ductile structure, we must give stress on three key areas. During the design process. Firstly, the overall design concept. For building configuration must be sound. Secondly, individual members must be designed for ductility, and finally connections and other structural details need careful attention. In earthquake resistant design of structures, all structural members and their connections and supports that is all critical regions where the stress level goes to yielding strength or exceeds during exceeds during severe earthquakes, should be designed with large ductility, and stable hysteresis behavior. Full stop. And this will help in distributing. Internal forces and dissipating the emerging during earthquakes. Okay. Okay, in this way, in this lecture, we have completed the unit number 6 and we have started this unit number 7. From this unit number 7, we have learned about this, what is the concept of this ductility syllabus, and what is the 3 different parameters that we have to understand. That 3 different parameter we have understand to achieve the ductility of the different RCC members. Okay, so today for this lecture, today we'll stop here. Now, whatever the remaining part for this unit number 7, we'll see in the next lecture. Okay, thank you all. Now I'll stop the sharing. You can use the chat box to put your attendance. कोण का उचलत मग?